The Chosin Reservoir campaign stands as one of the most harrowing episodes in modern military history. In the winter of 1950, UN forces, led by Americans, pushed deep into North Korea, confident the war was nearly won. After the Incheon landing, they drove the North Koreans back to the Chinese border, convinced victory was at hand. The plan was a final push to the Yalu River, with the 1st Marine Division and Army's 7th Infantry Division advancing into the mountains. Commanders dismissed warnings of Chinese intervention, blinded by overconfidence and a rush to end the war by Christmas. Intelligence reports of Chinese troops in the mountains were ignored. The American advance split into isolated columns along narrow mountain roads, stretching supply lines dangerously thin. The 1st Marine Division and Army units were separated by miles, unable to support each other. Unbeknownst to them, they were marching into a trap, surrounded by unforgiving terrain and a hidden enemy. The stage was set, not for victory, but for a desperate struggle against both the elements and a determined foe. The march to the Yalu would become a fight for survival. The illusion of an easy victory bred dangerous complacency. MacArthur, from Tokyo, insisted the Chinese wouldn't intervene, and caution was dismissed as pessimism. Field commanders' concerns about the lack of enemy contact in unscouted territory were ignored. Intelligence from captured Chinese soldiers warning of massive forces was downplayed. The 1st Marine Division, under General O.P. Smith, was stretched thin along a single vital mountain road. Smith sensed the danger, famously saying, "We are not retreating, we are just attacking in a different direction." The American units were isolated, like islands in a hostile sea. Meanwhile, the Chinese 9th Army Group, over 120,000 strong, moved undetected into the mountains, marching at night and hiding by day. They watched as the Americans advanced, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The Americans, thinking themselves hunters, were in fact the prey. The trap was set, annihilation loomed. The battle for survival was about to begin. On the night of November 27, 1950, the Chinese struck with overwhelming force. Tens of thousands of Chinese soldiers, hidden in the mountains, swarmed the scattered American positions. The Americans, unprepared for such an onslaught, were stunned by the ferocity and tactics of the Ghost Army. Chinese attacks came at night, with bugles and whistles sowing chaos and confusion. They infiltrated through darkness and terrain, launching human wave assaults to overwhelm defenders. Poorly equipped but relentless, the Chinese exploited gaps between American units, cutting the main supply route. Their goal was to surround and destroy each isolated American group. The initial attacks shattered the American lines, encircling Marines at Udam-ni and Hagaruri, and Army units to the east. The long column was split into desperate pockets, each fighting for survival. The road to the Yalu was blocked, and escape routes vanished. The battle had become a desperate fight to break out and survive. As the Chinese attacked, a Siberian cold front swept in, plunging temperatures to -35 degrees Fahrenheit. The cold became a deadly enemy, freezing weapons, morphine, and blood plasma, and turning food into blocks of ice. Radios died, cutting off communication and deepening the isolation. Frostbite was rampant. A careless touch of metal could mean instant injury. Many soldiers lost fingers, toes, or worse. The Americans, with some cold weather gear, still suffered terribly. The Chinese, in thin cotton uniforms and canvas shoes, froze by the thousands. Entire companies were found frozen in attack positions. The cold killed indiscriminately, but the Chinese suffered even more. Survival became a minute-by-minute struggle against both the enemy and the elements. The weather was as lethal as any weapon. The race was on to survive the cold or be destroyed by it. Surrounded and freezing, the Americans adapted fast. They dug in, forming tight defensive perimeters and holding out against relentless attacks. Leadership and teamwork became vital. Small unit leaders made life or death decisions. Soldiers fought for each other, sharing warmth, food, and hope. Air support was a lifeline as pilots braved the mountains to deliver supplies and strike enemy positions. Parachuted supplies kept the fight going when roads were cut. The Chinese, lacking equipment, relied on stealth, endurance, and sheer willpower. Both sides endured unimaginable hardship, but neither gave in. The battle became a test of resilience and resolve. Holding their ground was impossible. The only hope was to fight their way out. On December 6, 1950, the 1st Marine Division began its legendary breakout. They brought out their wounded and dead, refusing to leave anyone behind. The withdrawal was a rolling battle, with ambushes, roadblocks, and constant attacks from the hills. Engineers rebuilt destroyed bridges under fire, including one air-dropped into place over a deep gorge. The convoy crawled forward, clearing enemy positions inch by inch. The rear guard fought desperately to hold off pursuing Chinese forces. After nearly 2 weeks, the battered survivors reached Hungnam Port. They had escaped the trap, bringing thousands of wounded with them. The army units on the east suffered even more, but some also fought their way out. It was a withdrawal, not a victory, but a testament to courage and determination. The Chosin Reservoir battle was a brutal lesson in humility and endurance. Overconfidence and ignored warnings led to disaster, but the survivors' courage became legendary. The military overhauled its cold weather training, equipment, and tactics in response. Weapons, clothing, and boots were redesigned to withstand Arctic conditions. The importance of good intelligence and flexible leadership was seared into military doctrine. Chosin became a case study in the dangers of confirmation bias and the need to question assumptions. The leadership of General O.P. Smith and others became models for future generations. The story of the Chosin few endures as a symbol of human spirit against impossible odds. Their ordeal reminds us that technology alone doesn't win wars. Courage, adaptability, and unity matter most. The frozen lessons of Chosin are about survival, sacrifice, and the cost of war. Remembering them honors those who fought and fell in the icy mountains. Their legacy continues to teach us decades later.